Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, today does involve some food sampling. So if you got one of the red tickets, you were one of the people who signed up in advance, you will get first crack at the food, okay? If there's any left over, we'll have to, duke it out, rock paper scissors for that or whatever, how we figure that out. So just keep that in mind for after the presentation. But we do have Robbie Griffin,
Griffin.
From UF, the IFIS program. She's going to be doing a little cooking presentation for everybody. Okay, so enjoy.
So I just want to say welcome. This is an amazing turnout. Sometimes we do nutrition education, plan really hard, get to the library, get to somewhere else, and no one shows up. So this is great. But yes, I am Robbie Griffin from UF IFIS Extension Family Nutrition Program, and that is my sidekick, Jasmine Quarterman, back there. And basically we do outreach in Alachua County, nutrition education outreach, and typically to the low-income SNAP eligible population. So we're in schools. We complement the nutrition ed lessons with gardens, and we also do adult education classes, cooking-based classes to kind of promote behavior change. So today we're going to start off by talking about, what is healthy to you and what are some ways that you already eat healthy. So can anyone tell me, why do we need to eat healthy foods? Why do we need to eat healthy foods?
You are what you eat.
You are what you eat. Has everyone heard that? Yes. Anyone else? Why do we need to eat healthy?
The actual nutrition food for our body.
Yeah, so our body needs nutrients, not necessarily calories. So sometimes we are overfed and undernourished. And typically as Americans, it varies from person to person. But what are some ways that you eat healthy?
I eat green bombs every day. Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds.
Green bombs? That sounds amazing. I love it. Anyone else?
Lean meat.
Lean meat. Perfect. Any other examples?
It might not sound as healthy as everybody else's option, but when I get full, I just stop.
That's
Sometimes
good.
When I was younger, I used to eat so the whole plate
Yep.
was gone, so now
Yep.
I'm full, I just save it for later.
I'm kind of known for overeating, so yes, me too. I need to work on that. Portion control. Anyone else? Well, good. So we're going to transition into My Plate, which is basically the USDA's new version of the pyramid. I grew up with a pyramid, but now we have My Plate. It's separated into 5 different food groups. It's supposed to simplify things because it's based on, the amount of vegetables in here. It's supposed to, in comparison to dairy, so it's like you're supposed to get more vegetables compared to dairy. It's like the sizes are kind of relating to your portion size or what you're supposed to consume. So has anyone seen this? Back in the back, good. Yeah, so this is called My Plate. And so you want to make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. You want to go lean with your protein options. Grains, you want to make half of your grains whole. You don't need to consume all whole grains, but it's good to make half of the grains you consume to be whole grains. And dairy, of course, is the smallest because we want to be cautious of overeating or your sugars and your fat content. So the dairy sometimes has added sugars and fat that you want to watch out for. So this is just a small kind of summary of what we need to eat on a daily basis. So in comparison to your meals at home, how does My Plate look compared to how you typically serve your meals? Is it always kind of separated out like that? No. Yeah. So we can take a dish that we may all consume on a regular basis, like pizza, and we can break it down and see if we can try to get at least 3 out of the 5 food groups. For your snacks, your dinners, your lunches, your breakfast, you want to try to get 3 out of the 5 food group in each meal. So let's take pizza, for example. So what would be the grain part of the pizza? The crust, exactly. And if you want to go for that whole grain crust, that would be a good option. What would be a protein example? Sausage, pepperoni. Is there a leaner protein that we could choose? Chicken. Tempeh, absolutely. Satchel's has a great barbecue tempeh that I like to get. Oh, I'm not really promoting Satchel's, but just my personal preference, not IFIS, personal. Tempeh, that's a great option. Even like beans, nuts, seeds, those are all also good options for lean proteins. What about a vegetable? Mushrooms? Absolutely. What about some fruits? Pineapple is a common fruit. Sometimes I definitely have had a dessert blueberry pizza before. Anyway, so and then we have our dairy. What would the dairy option be? Cheese. Yes. So in one pizza, you could potentially get 5 out of the 5 food groups, but we definitely are getting 3 out of the 5 food groups. And if you're choosing leaner proteins instead of the sausages, the pepperonis, you're definitely overall choosing healthier options. So now I'm going to go ahead and start the cooking process. I have the recipe on the back side of your packet if you want to follow along. We'll go ahead and get started, and then we'll do a fresh, frozen, canned activity during the process. So this recipe is kind of like a healthier version of Chinese takeout. Is anyone a fan of Chinese takeout? Bite Squad? So I'm going to start off by chopping the garlic. So here, I'll move this if everyone can see it. So I'm going to do 2 cloves. So for me, I like to kind of cut off the ends first. And then I peel the garlic. Sometimes people kind of smash it and then peel, which you definitely can do. I like to smash after for some reason.
Smashing up the...
Yeah, it definitely does. Smash it, and then I'm going to mince.
Smash things with the ceramic knife?
Yeah, it actually works pretty well. And even we do a lot of cooking and gardening with young kids, and we have like the little plastic knives, and those actually work pretty well too. I'm just going to chop some garlic, set that to the side. Can anyone tell me what's next? Broccoli. We're going to go for the broccoli. And of course, for this one, we're just going to use the florets. And of course, you could keep the stem if you have your chickens or you want to make stock. Does anyone else use the broccoli stems? You cook it? Yeah, in this recipe, you can also use it. I love this recipe. I do it at home a lot. And so I will keep the stalks but you want to cook those a little bit longer than the rest of the vegetables. And today, we're kind of on a time crunch, so I'm going to leave those out for today. So what are some of your favorite healthy recipes, if anyone wants to share while I'm chopping?
Buffalo cauliflower.
That sounds really good.
It's super easy to make too. I'm not a very good.
Is it like a roasted cauliflower?
Yeah. So it's basically you just cut up the cauliflower and then you just kind of saturate it in this batter, which is just flour and water and some spices. And then you roast it in the oven at 450 for 20 to 25 minutes. And then while that's roasting, you make the buffalo sauce, which is just, I think I used Frank's buffalo sauce and a little bit of butter. And I put a little bit different spices in there. And one more thing, but it's escaping my mind. Buffalo cauliflower.
That sounds amazing. That really does.
And when I used to eat meat, that was one of my favorite things to eat was buffalo chicken wings. So
Sounds really good.
Not better.
That sounds really good. Has anyone ever tried like the cauliflower rice? Yeah, I really like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I really like the cauliflower rice. I think that's really good. Oh, that sounds really good. So we're finishing up this broccoli. So next I'm going to move on to the carrots. I'm just going to slice up the carrots. We've already peeled and washed them. So what vitamin do carrots typically have that may be helpful for our bodies? I think there might be a handout in your packet. Vitamin A, exactly. Beta carotene. So my plate is colored for a reason, because you want to make sure you're getting a variety of colors, because the colors often hint what the nutrients are. So you want to really go for red and oranges and also those dark green vegetables. So if you're choosing a leafy green, it's really nice to go for the kale or the spinach or collards instead of the iceberg lettuce. You want to make sure you're getting a mixture and a variety of colors. And of course, when we're choosing our vegetables, we want to make sure to look and see what's in season. What's in season, you guys have a chart in your handout. What's in season in the grocery store is typically going to be cheaper because there's less transport. It's going to be typically more local produce available. So if you're wanting the fresh ingredients and the fresh vegetables, you want to go for what's in season.
And the what's in season handout is on the page right before you're ready.
Thank you, Jasmine.
The back of the page right before the ready.
You have celery? Do you like celery? Okay. So it's really nice to kind of pre-chop everything. It's before you start cooking. It makes you feel a little less overwhelmed. In this recipe, you don't have to add any extra vegetables. It just calls for broccoli, carrots, and celery. But do you guys want to add some squash in there today? Okay, sure. And yellow squash is something that is in season at the moment. Lemon? Oh, almost. Squash. Okay, so I'm just slicing these up. I halved it. And then I'm making slices. And when you're adding the squash or anything like spinach, you want to add it at the end so it doesn't, anything that has a large water content, you want to add it at the end so it doesn't overcook. Okay, we have our veggies prepped. We're going to start on the chicken. Chicken! So why am I using two different cutting boards? For the chicken. Exactly. And I'm going to, after I touch the chicken, I will be super food safe and switch my gloves out. So yeah, chicken, and then like the chicken breasts are a nice lean option if you're going to go for the meat proteins. This is a nice lean option to have. What are some other proteins everyone likes to eat? Bacon, turkey. Bacon in moderation or just all the time?
It's like bacon wrapped bacon.
Everything.
Fish? Okay, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful lean protein. Shrimp is amazing. Oh yeah, and actually this recipe, sometimes I'll have participants in our cooking classes, they go home, we use chicken, and they were like, no, we just added shrimp instead of chicken, or did a little bit of both, and that's actually, that would be really, really nice for this recipe. So if you want to splurge and get shrimp, that would be a great protein. Another thing that I do on occasion do with bacon is I do bacon wrapped quail eggs and have a teriyaki sauce. It's really yummy. And grill them. Anyway, just in moderation, of course. Okay, we're gonna get the oil heated up. So I'm gonna put the oil in this induction burner. And get started. And I'm using canola oil today. It's just the cheaper option to olive oil, but olive oil is definitely a great option. You want to do about 2 tablespoons. Should have brand new. Because I should take the top off beforehand. It's never been used. About 2 tablespoons, and today we're kind of doubling the recipe. So add 1 more. You let this heat up. This is a nice induction burner. It doesn't get really too hot on the outside. It's great for like cooking with kids and stuff, just in case if they accidentally touch it. But so for those of you that do have kids, do you find it challenging to feed them a healthy diet?
Yes.
Yes. Are there tips and tricks you guys already do to help you get all of the nutrients they need?
Disguise it if I can.
Disguise it if you can. So like smoothies, do you ever do green smoothies? Yeah, there's some tips and tricks on this recipe down at the bottom under the chef's notes, kind of telling you like how you can involve your kids. If you do have kids and you are struggling, I don't have kids myself, but we do cook with a lot of kids, and once they actually have a role in the process, once they're gardening or maybe they're even cooking in the kitchen, if you give them simple tasks to start off with, they may have a better chance of trying that broccoli that night or trying the kale. But that's what kind of we've found. Because we do kale salads with kids all over Alachua County, and they like it. Huh? Yep, gonna do some ground ginger. I guess we're doing all the chicken today.
What would be a protein substitute that you would recommend with this recipe?
So we do tofu sometimes. And of course you'll want to get the extra firm tofu instead. And I used it. Sometimes it was difficult to stir fry in the oil if it was too hot, and it would just kind of like break down. But I've done it a few times and it was actually pretty good. So yeah, I really, really liked it. If I can put my gloves on correctly. Do you like tofu?
Yeah, I do. Mostly when other people prepare it.
Yeah, I know, it's really difficult.
The texture is so
Yeah.
so unappetizing. It's so strange to like look at and touch and eat again. So when other people do it, and a lot of it is just some people don't really eat a lot of soy, and I try not to eat a lot of soy. And you only have that as a protein intake, so also like beans and other things. But yeah, I don't want to touch it. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. I wonder, beans, I mean, you could do beans. I feel like beans would work, yeah. What kind of beans are you thinking about?
Maybe a red bean.
Yeah, I think red bean. I wouldn't suggest black beans, but yeah. Yeah, I think that would be really great. Jasmine, can you take the knife and cutting board away for me? We're gonna let this cook for a few minutes. And while the chicken is cooking, we're gonna do a fresh frozen canned activity. Kind of pinpointing, maybe you wanna hold it? Yeah. So Concerning your fruits and vegetables, how long are we letting this cook? Should probably keep an eye on it.
Are we running time, Bobby?
I think I'll just, let me see.
About 2 minutes.
About 2 minutes. Start really quickly. So when concerning your fruits and vegetables, do you usually choose fresh, frozen, or canned? Anyone? Fresh when you can? Good. Frozen? Yeah. So let's go with fresh first. Let's think about fruits and vegetables. What are some pros for choosing fresh vegetables?
Yeah, the most nutrients.
Nutrient dense. Yeah, very good. Oh, this might be difficult. Anyone else?
That's preservatives.
No preservatives? Absolutely.
Maybe want a shirt.
He's going to get a workout.
Taste.
Anyone else?
Taste.
Taste, exactly, yes. Jasmine, do you want to take over this activity?
It's more transparent.
Well, first, you guys on my watch.
Okay, pros. Any more pros for fresh produce?
It's transparent, so you can actually see and touch everything and pick it up.
Yes, you can see, touch, and feel. I don't have as neat of a handwriting as Robbie.
I don't know if I'd call that neat.
Any other pros for fresh? Any cons for buying fresh produce?
Pressure to eat it.
Cons, and what did you say?
Pressure to eat it.
Pressure to eat it. You
Rather-
have to eat it
fairly quickly.
Yeah,
right.
low shelf life for sure.
Yeah.
And spoiled stuff.
Do we need more veggies? Need some more veggies.
Shelf life.
Go ahead and add this garlic in.
Anything else? Yes. Support local. Yeah. Are there any farmers market shops?
Good.
Farmers market today.
And it is. Little plug.
Any other cons or pros that you want to add? Okay, we can go to frozen. Any pros to frozen produce?
Perfect for
Convenient smoothies.
It's so great. It's already frozen. Added some ice.
It's available out of season. Yes. Yes, so you can get it out of season, available year round, good for smoothies, convenient. I don't like to chop things a lot, so I like to have my produce already pre-chopped. Anything else for pros for that? Yes.
Very little processing.
Very little processing.
So it tastes more fresh. Not as fresh.
Yes, so when, before they freeze produce, it's usually picked at its peak season. Anything else for fresh? Pros? You want to go to any cons?
Cost less.
Cost less. Any cons or any other pros you want to add?
Energy intensive.
Energy intensive?
Energy.
Good for business.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else?
Fall time. Fall. Fall time.
Fall?
Salt.
Sorry.
Fall.
So it can have added salt or sugar. Or other added foods in there.
I feel like
He said fall.
Oh, I don't have my listening ears on. I don't have to with my kids. So you have to thaw it out.
I said
I apologize.
Okay, chicken's looking good.
Chicken's getting through. Okay. Any other? Yes?
There's labeling right on it. You don't label on the fresh.
You can read the label. And so do you want to add that for a con for fresh? That's not necessarily like a label for it? You want to add that?
So I'm going to start making the soy sauce mixture. We can kind of pay attention to both of us at the same time. It's about a quarter of a cup of just soy sauce, and then cornstarch, about a tablespoon, and a little sugar, some brown sugar. So that's it, and that's going to be the saucy part.
And what type of soy sauce are you using?
Low sodium soy sauce, of course.
And let's go to can. Any pros for can?
It lasts forever.
Yes.
Lifetime.
Last forever.
Lifetime supply of catfish.
I think canned usually like preferred for baking as far as convenience here.
Oh, what do you think?
For baking,
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer fresh, but it's convenient for baking.
it's definitely convenient for baking.
I mean,
Yeah.
over frozen.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and add.
Yes.
And when it comes to beans, they're already pre-cooked, and so they don't take as long. So they're faster.
You doing okay? So it can be pre-cooked. Yeah, so like with fresh beans, it'll take a long time to soak them first and then you have to cook
Good
them.
workout.
Any cons for can?
Yeah, you have to check to make sure it doesn't have high salt or sometimes it has sugar.
What's that, sugar and the cornstarch?
Yeah, sugar, the brown sugar. Cornstarch is the thickening agent for the sauce, and then some low sodium soy sauce.
Yeah, it usually
And they do have gluten-free options.
liquid and adds, will lessen the nutritional balance.
So like our 3 cups of behind sugar to be in the syrup. Any other cons? Soggy. So
So-
texture.
I'm gonna add the carrots first because they'll take the longest to cook.
I guess some of the nutrition goes out with the liquid, so probably.
It can lose some of their nutritional value.
Cans themselves are not nutritional. The BTA in cans, especially tomatoes, acidic.
Yeah, very acidic.
So the BPA in the cans. Anything else?
Yeah, aftertaste.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully my wok is big enough. Put it on max. Yeah.
So what all have you added so far?
So I added the broccoli and the carrots, and as you see, we're already getting a variety of vegetables and colors, so we're getting a lot of different nutrients in here already. The next thing I'll add is the celery and squash when this cooks down a little bit.
What about freeze drying?
Say it again.
Freeze drying.
Freeze drying? Yes. Was there anything you want to say overall? You want me to go on?
I'm sorry to cut you off. For
yeah.
can, we forgot they're the cheapest. So, I mean, people
Yeah.
always get them because they're the cheapest.
Yeah.
You get a can of beans for like 30, 40 cents.
So with fresh, frozen, and canned, there are a lot of differences, but you want to compare the unit prices. Sometimes when I go in, I automatically think that the canned corn is going to be cheaper, but actually right now, fresh corn will be cheaper than the canned corn because it's in season. So you just want to make sure if you're really wanting to focus on eating healthy on a budget to compare the price. And like Jasmine said, for the frozen and canned, the items are preserved at their peak freshness, so it should have the same amount of nutrients. So you can't always buy fresh, you can always choose frozen and canned for your vegetables and fruits. And your canned fruits, what do you want to watch out for? The sugar content, exactly.
I saw a hand in the back.
Yeah. There's a hand?
Yes. Yes.
What about dried foods?
What?
Like fresh frozen cans of dried.
Oh, dried. Yeah, dried fruits are amazing. Dried beans, any dried vegetables, that would be a perfect way. Well, yeah, I guess it could potentially go under fresh because it's like the dried, especially if you consider like the dried beans. And dried beans are a wonderful alternative to your protein sources because it's also really cheap too, especially if you buy the beans dried in bulk and then kind of soak them. That's a really great option, and I do that a lot. Yeah, that's a really great point.
Just with the dried fruit, you just want to watch out for the sugar content. But a lot of times you can get things that have no sugar added or less sugar. So you have to watch out for no sugar versus just less sugar.
Right.
As well. So just reading the food label.
And
It's easy to do too much when it's dried fruit.
yeah,
You just sit there
Yeah.
and I have to watch sugar, so
yeah,
yikes, I just ate 3 apricots.
right,
So
yeah.
looking at the serving size. is
Yeah.
important.
And you know, it is, you know, that whole debate about like natural sugars and artificial sugars. And I think the Nutrition Facts panel in the next few years, they're going to kind of identify the natural versus artificial to help it make it easier for us to decipher, you know, what's what. Because sometimes you see 25 grams of sugar, and then, you know, we're really only supposed to consume about 21 grams per day for adults. Yay, thank you. So we have our vegetables. I'm going to let it cook a little bit more since we have a lot of them. And today, the vegetables probably won't be cooked as much as some people like them because we have a large amount of food in this wok. But you can always cook them for longer when you're at the house. Starting to look really good, and you don't need to add any salt because the soy sauce has a little salt in it already. Jasmine, do you know if there's a microwave?
Yeah.
We'll want to microwave. I don't think the rice will fit in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add the soy sauce mixture and bring it to a boil. Yes, please. Bring it to a boil. Do you guys are you smelling it? Smell good? Okay. Yeah, and this actually, I do this recipe a lot at home, and you'll just want to coat the sauce. I'll probably make some more just because we have a lot of veggies. Looking good, it's cooking down. And sometimes I totally omit the protein part and I'll just have like a salad with nuts on it or chickpeas or something instead. But chickpeas would actually be a good protein, I think, to add in this as well. Might be nice. How long am I supposed to let it boil?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, I think that'll give us enough time to go over our grains. And you can always make it saucier with the soy sauce, but just make sure to get that low sodium soy sauce so you're not getting too much added sodium and salt. Because we are only really supposed to have 2,500 milligrams per day, which is about a teaspoon of salt. So that is not, I feel like we usually go over that. We may, perhaps. All right, so I'm going to let that sear for a couple minutes, maybe on high, and we'll focus our attention to the PowerPoint. This PowerPoint was made for third and fourth graders, but I just wanted to be able to give you a visual. So when we're talking about our grains, we're going to go for the whole grain, and the whole grain consists of all three parts of the seed kernel. You have the outer layer, the bran, which has a lot of the fiber content packed in there. You have the endosperm, the white starchy carbohydrate aspect in the center, and then you have the germ, and the germ has a lot of your B vitamins and other nutrients. So we have 3 parts of the seed kernel. Now you name them. What part has the fiber? The bran, the outer layer. Very good. So we have 2 types of grains, the whole grains and refined grains. When you refine or process the grain, you're only left with the endosperm. So you're not getting those nutrients. You're not getting the nutrients from the bran, and you're not going to be getting the nutrients from the germ. So what are some examples of whole grains? We have popcorn, brown rice, whole wheat pasta. Can anyone think of any other whole grain?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Kiwi, that would be considered a whole grain, correct?
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah. Any other examples of whole grains? Quinoa. Oh, perfect. We have brown rice right here, ready to go. So there's farro, millet, any type of grain. Let's see, and then our examples of, and then just whole wheat bread. And then our examples of the refined grain can be white rice, just regular pasta, white bread. If you see enriched, refined, it's most likely not a whole grain. So you want to watch out for that because advertisements in the store can be really, really tricky. And fiber is really good for our bodies. It helps us regulate us digestively. So it helps our intestines. It makes your point about feeling full. If you tend to overeat, it's good to go for things that have fiber. Fiber's in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. So fiber makes you feel full or keeps you feeling full for longer. Has anyone ever just eaten a ton of rice, a ton of pasta, and just felt incredibly full? If it's a whole grain, it's that fiber aspect to it. And then also fiber helps our hearts be healthy and just keeps our hearts working well. So, okay, so whole grains are the good option. How do I choose the whole grain in the store? So you want to watch out for dietary fiber. You want to make sure it has more than 2 grams. This option has just 1 gram. So I don't know if that's a whole grain or not. Then you want to look down to the ingredients list. If you see unbleached, enriched, or refined, it is not a whole grain. You want to make sure to look at the first ingredient only, and if it says whole grain, then you're set. You're good. There we go. Yeah. A cupcake, whole wheat flour. Everything's in moderation. Any questions about grains and whole grains and how to choose them?
Grits.
Grits.
Never hear them talk about it. Is
Grits.
it a whole grain or?
So I think polenta might be considered the whole grain. It's like an Italian grit. But that's a good question. I need to look that up, and I'll get back to you. But I think you would have to see that specified. Like couscous, you would need to see the whole grain couscous. But yeah, I think grits is one of those ones where you need to have it classified. But yeah, popcorn's a great example of a whole grain, just as long as you're not putting too much salt and butter. Corn, yes. Yeah, that might be good. Thank you, ma'am. And add a little bit more rice too. Can you another rice?
Yeah, I don't know if you can apply it to this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is finally almost ready. Hopefully we'll have enough for everyone.
So you want to know if it's
So this is microwavable brown rice. It's more expensive than the dried stuff, but it's already cooked and you just have to microwave it. So it's really great for these types of demonstrations, but it's more expensive, definitely.
And what's that?
It was just some water. It was soy sauce left over with some water. Yeah, that's great. Sure. Okay. So can anyone identify how many food groups we have in this recipe? Food groups from my plate?
3.
3. Yeah, 3. I'm missing the dairy. All right, looks pretty good. Carly, did you want to pass out the forks and the plates and stuff? So this will be a sample size, so everyone can get, hopefully everyone can get some. Oh yeah, and actually we do
You
need
guys
to
wanna
have
line
this
up
out.
here?